That is a great question. There are many stories that go on in our head. Our voice has been with us since the day we were born and there every day since, so it's the voice we listen to the most. The problem is our voice often gives us self-sabotaging stories, why we can't do things, why we can't accomplish it. Oh, I've done that before. I divide it into the 4 fears of leadership. And those things create stories that stop us from moving forward and actually limit our potential as leaders.
Wow, I heard one guy once call that the negativity committee in our brain. And
Yep.
so it's built on a lot of fear. It's built on some different mistakes. And so talk to me more about this. How does this drive us? Where does it come from? That type of thing.
I mentioned a minute ago about the 4 fears of leadership. I call them the negativity stories for us. The first one is fear of being incompetent, or sometimes we call this the imposter syndrome. We get into a place where we don't think we should be internally, and it breaks down our confidence. The second one is fear of failure. We want to be perfect. We don't want to ever fail, so we don't do things. It stops us from talking sometimes. Fear of appearing foolish and fear of appearing too vulnerable are the 4 pieces. And it stops us from moving forward in many things. In fact, there was a article I was reading from Harvard Business Review a while back from 150 CEOs, and these were the 4 biggest things that they identified in themselves. So we're all hitting these at some point in our career.
So if we're all having this negative messaging internally, and then you're talking about that's going to affect or predict leadership capacity, how do you identify these in people? How do you be aware of them so you can assess the capacity of your leadership team or individuals as leaders?
Well, we see it in leaders all the time, but you see it in yourself all the time. We feel it. We understand. I have many clients who come to me at C-suite levels and say, I feel like a imposter here. I grew through the ranks and finally I found myself here. And I don't think people listen to me because I don't have the same experiences that they do. And that's a false statement that's coming in many people's head. They got there for a reason. They're good at something. They don't need to be good at everything to be able to lead an organization, a team, or anything like that. In fact, when I used to be a director or a VP, I explicitly hired people who were smarter than me, who were able to do the things that I wasn't able to do. That doesn't mean I couldn't lead them.
Yeah, but then what about, you're a leader and you're finding mistakes in your leadership and you have a OCD or perfectionist mentality where you really want to be firing on all cylinders and you realize, hey, I messed up here or I missed this and I should have caught it. And that can happen like daily, the more activities you've got going on. So what do you do about that?
So I talk to leaders about things like that all the time. And I say, okay, what are the things you're dropping and why are you dropping them? And we go and dig in, what are the reasonings? Well, am I doing too much? Am I not delegating enough? Many times leaders, I have one leader who actually had the attitude of, I got here because I know what I'm doing, and I'm the only one that can do it. So I need to do everything myself, and had a whole team that they were busy, but he wasn't delegating well to them. And now he's stuck in doing everything. He can't look forward because he's 2 heads down into the day-to-day work.
So how'd you get him out of that?
So we started talking about what he could do. We went through options. We got him to delegate more. And there was a whole cycle of how do we delegate instead of dump and give resources and all that. But once he started delegating, his plate became clear. And now he was doing the long-term strategic thinking that he wanted to do when he got in that position instead of the day-to-day stuff that he was ended up delegating.